much as a warning. Life hangs in the balance. Human endeavor turns to chaos. And within seconds, nothing will ever be the same. Whoa! Ever. You've got a front row seat to some of the wildest action ever recorded. Firefighters flee a burning building as it nearly collapses on top of them. And a rain-slick track creates a disastrous 7-car smash-up. Turn down the lights and turn up the volume. Everything you see will be destroyed in seconds. An Airbus A320 jet has crashed in the woods. Rescuers rush to the site, hoping to save the 130 passengers on board. Although 20 years have passed since the disaster, its memory still haunts those who survived it. Mulhouse, France, 1988. 130 VIPs are invited to ride aboard the brand new $60 million plane during a demonstration flight. Spectators are wowed by the plane's size and maneuverability as the pilot flies by at a very low altitude. But excitement turns to horror. When the pilot notices he's going to hit the trees, he tries to pull up. At first, those on the ground aren't sure if the plane clears the trees or not. Moments later, the black and orange inferno says it all. Amateur cameramen capture the tragedy from several different angles. The fuselage is engulfed in flames. All fear the worst for those on board the 46-ton plane. It's later determined that the crash was caused by pilot error. He thought he was 100 feet off the ground when he was actually only 30 feet off the ground. 50 passengers are injured and sadly, 3 lose their lives. But all involved felt fortunate that the casualties weren't even higher. It's the Grand Am Sports Car Series at the Watkins Glen International Raceway. As the souped-up cars fly over the 2.5-mile course, staying ahead of each other is hard enough. Staying ahead of the approaching storm is next to impossible. A heavy downpour takes the racers by surprise. The drivers are still riding around on slick tires. Some pull in to change them in the nick of time. Some don't. Tires have no grooves to expel the water and grab the pavement. As the racers speed into this turn, their cars hydroplane, then smack the wall at speeds up to 65 miles an hour. As the cluster of cars grow larger, a white Corvette slams into a Porsche at 75 miles an hour. The Porsche's driver is still inside. Rescue teams rush in, and the drivers take stock of themselves and their vehicles. It's amazing that there are only 2 injuries, both minor. 2 cars are totaled and have to be towed away. They each cost around $150,000. But if it wasn't for the high-density styrofoam barriers absorbing the sheer force at both moments of impact, these drivers could have lost more than their cars. They could have lost their lives. Aniva Bay, 7 miles south of Sakhalin, Russia. A joint Russian-Japanese search and rescue operation is about to begin. One of the machines vital to this drill is the Mi-14 helicopter. It has the ability to land on and take off from water with relative ease. Today's exercise begins as planned, but the crew has no idea that a mechanical failure has hobbled the chopper. As the helicopter comes in for a landing, it hits the water with such force that the hull is breached. Unbeknownst to the crew, it's filling up with water and is now too heavy for liftoff. The nose of the helicopter tilts forward, and the rotors rip apart in the water. The cabin capsizes, trapping the men inside. Rough seas rock the overturned chopper as rescuers rush in to save the crew. Officials suspect that the frigid waters may have caused the helicopter's engine to fail, resulting in a loss of power. Of the 13 people on board, sadly, 1 dies. 3 are seriously injured. The exact cause of this disaster is still under investigation. Piedmont Dragway, Julian, North Carolina. Pro stock cars hit up to 200 miles per hour in less than 7 seconds during the Piedmont Power Jam. These $250,000 machines are powered by nitromethane, giving them 1,400 horsepower. That's more than triple the power of a standard Corvette. Late in the day, local favorite Donnie Krasinski rolls on to the track. He warms his tires and edges up to the starting line. Anticipating the start of the race, Donnie revs his engine. Donnie's car erupts into flames with the veteran driver trapped inside. The crowd reacts in horror as the flames completely engulf the car. Precious seconds tick by as the fire crews scramble to respond. Finally, a man with a fire extinguisher douses the flames. It turns out that while he was revving his engine, Donnie accidentally released the safety handle too early. That caused nitromethane to be released into the engine prematurely, setting off the explosion. Then something happens in the midst of the flames that few in the crowd can see. The driver's door is flung open and a shadowy figure stumbles out. Donnie has managed to escape and collapses on the ground just out of camera range. Donnie only suffered minor burns and was quickly back behind the wheel. Montreal, Canada. A fire breaks out in a small century-old building on the outskirts of the city. Minutes after firefighters arrive, the intensity increases and the heat starts to shatter the window. As the thick black smoke engulfs the roof, firefighters on top of the building wisely retreat back to the ladder truck. Unable to get a handle on the flames, firefighters decide to take defensive positions and let the fire burn itself out. But after a short wait, two firemen pick up a hose and continue the battle. Little do they know, the structural integrity of the building has been compromised. A fire has broken out in a small building in Montreal, Canada. Within minutes, the flames have spread throughout the building, and firefighters determine that the structure is lost. The chief decides to take a defensive position and let the fire burn itself out. One lone team is left to keep the flames in check. Unfortunately, the men have no idea the building's internal structure has been compromised. The wooden support beams inside the building burn away, and the wall of the three-story structure collapses. The falling debris comes within inches of nearby firefighters who scramble for safety. Remarkably, less than 1 minute before the collapse, the fire chief has a feeling that something bad is about to happen. He orders the ladder truck to clear the area directly below the wall. Then, just seconds after it pulls away, had it not been moved, the truck would have been destroyed and firefighters seriously injured. Moments later, the rest of the building falls. The intense fire lasts several more hours before firefighters completely extinguish the flames. It turns out that a welding torch originally ignited the fire. Thanks to a fire chief's intuition and some quick reflexes, no one was hurt in the collapse. Manchester, South Dakota. Storm chaser Tim Samris and his team are tracking a half-mile-wide twister as it rolls across the plains.
The last probe I picked up, 44 degrees, 26.243 latitude, 97 degrees, 40.004 longitude.
The goal of these storm chasers is to deploy scientific probes into this massive F4 tornado. The probes are designed to be sucked up into a tornado's vortex, where they'll record fluctuations in barometric pressure. In order to do that, these storm chasers must get dangerously close to one of nature's most destructive forces. An F4 tornado spirals winds between 200 and 260 miles per hour. They'll have to set the probes directly in its path. As the team maneuvers around the storm, the mammoth tornado bears down on a group of houses. Several barns and 3 homes are completely ripped apart. After only a few seconds, the funnel is filled with pieces of what was once the small neighborhood. A couple miles down the road, another home is swallowed up by the massive twister.
This farm is getting a dead hit.
Within seconds, pieces of the farmhouse start raining down.
We got debris. Dan, we don't have time. Don't have time. We don't have time. Seriously.
Fearing for their safety, the team gets back into their cars and retreats. Storm chasers must constantly be on the move in order to stay one step ahead of the tornadoes. Eventually, the F4 slows, allowing the team to place one of their probes in the twister's path. But within seconds, the tornado is upon them again.
Whoa!
Finally, the twister starts to weaken and fade away, thankfully taking no lives with it. In the face of such destruction, the residents of Manchester are happy to be alive. After the storm subsides, Tim and his team return to collect the probes, which are scattered hundreds of yards apart. On this trip, Tim was able to measure the largest drop in air pressure ever recorded inside a tornado, from approximately 1,000 millibars down to 900 millibars, which explains why the tiny town of Manchester was literally blown away. May 2007, Red Bluff, California. It's round one of the Nitro Nationals. A top fuel hydro named Problem Child has no problem hitting 263 miles per hour. Pilot Dale Ishimaru sets a record, running the quarter mile in just 4.68 seconds. During the trials, Problem Child raises out of the water. Out of caution, the crew decides to replace the propeller blades. Despite that safeguard, round two of the competition becomes a career ender. It's the 2007 Nitro National Speedboat Competition in Red Bluff, California. With a qualifying speed of 263 miles per hour, pilot Dale Ishimaru and his high-powered Nitro called Problem Child advanced to round two. But just 2 seconds after leaving the starting line, Problem Child lives up to its name and nearly takes out the competition. The Nitro starts bouncing, and in spite of Ishimaru's quick decision to decelerate, the boat starts rolling. His safety capsule is thrown from the speeding boat at more than 200 miles per hour. And you can see Problem Child's engine coming loose and hurling directly at the other craft. It barely misses. Rescue workers rush to Ishimaru's safety capsule, which is floating upside down. Ishimaru is not visible. Workers manage to turn the capsule and pull it on board their boat. Dale is injured, but alive. His back is broken and he has a concussion. He spends the next 7.5 hours in surgery. Dale recovers, but decides to put his racing days behind him.
There you go. Yeah.
Welcome to one of the most twisted two-lane roads in the country, U.S. Highway 129. Rob Stewart drives while his passenger shoots with a camcorder. This 11-mile stretch of highway has 318 curves and is located at the base of the Smoky Mountains, where Tennessee and North Carolina meet. Bikers call it the tail of the dragon. State troopers call it deadly. This slow-moving minivan is no match for Stewart's 111-horsepower two-wheeler. They round corner after corner, passing slower drivers along the way. Feeling confident, Stewart comes into the next curve too fast. The accident happens when Stewart's bike drifts left into oncoming traffic, giving him little time to correct and avoid a collision. People that Stewart had passed earlier on the road happen upon the scene and help the downed rider and his friend. Thankfully, the car he hits is going slowly. And helmets protect Stewart and his passenger from any serious injuries. The bike ends up needing more repairs than what it's worth, so Stewart sells it for scrap. Stewart considers himself lucky. On average, 2 motorcyclists a year die trying to tame the tail of the dragon. It's a high-speed pursuit through Fort Bend County, Texas. Dozens of deputies join in the mid-morning chase outside Houston. The veteran officers know the neighborhood well and cut him off. The drama began when a man and woman carjacked an SUV after shooting its driver. They then opened fire on a police officer who tried to intervene. The suspects next dumped the SUV in a gas station and commandeered a white pickup truck. Speeds reach 110 miles an hour as the pursuit races through both business and residential neighborhoods. The lead deputy is finally in a position to get a clean shot at the pickup's tire. The truck gets back on the freeway. But it's soon clear that the right rear tire took a bullet, and the driver is losing control. When the pickup finally stops, the driver bails with no regard for his passenger. The man escapes, but he's later captured. I'm Ron Pitts, and we'll see you next time on Destroyed in Seconds.